Hello, everybody. Welcome. Good afternoon or good evening, wherever you're tuning in from. We're really excited to have a special guest with us today, Mariángela. Hello, my dear. How are you?
Hello, I'm fine, happy.
Well, we were both saying that we're both a little sleepy today.
A little bit.
A little bit, but we're really excited to be here. And where are you joining us from?
I'm in Spain, in Madrid.
Madrid. I've never been to Spain. It's on my bucket list. So that's so super cool. And so guys, if you're tuning in, please, just a few housekeeping reminders that we are, Mariángela will be sharing her story with you tonight. And if anything sparks any questions for you about your own medical situation, please bring those questions to your sleep specialist. We do these for education and awareness purposes. And please comment, please share the video, give us lots of hearts and likes. That way that Facebook knows how important and engaging this content is. Please share where you're tuning in from so that we can see. But of course, also remember that the comments that you put with the video will stay with the video. So you don't want to share anything publicly there that you wouldn't want to share publicly. And let's see. Well, it's just, I think, 9 days now until World Narcolepsy Day. Yay! September 22nd, this is our 4th annual World Narcolepsy Day, and we're just so excited. Mariángela has been a huge part of our celebration this year, sharing her story last week in Spanish, which is so super cool. Although I couldn't understand it, but I think it was probably amazing.
Now you will hear it today. You understand it today.
Yes. And then we have a wonderful story sharing session on Sunday from Bulgaria with Adi from Bulgaria, who is a mother of a person with narcolepsy. So we're really excited to share her story and hear about what's narcolepsy like in Bulgaria. And of course, on World Narcolepsy Day, we have a super special event with Lauren and Isaiah Thomas, interviewing them and hearing about their efforts to raise awareness. And yeah, so we're just really excited. And of course, there are other events and activities happening around the world with different organizations. So please check out all the different organizations' efforts. Yeah, so I think with that, I'll go ahead and introduce Mariángela. Mariángela is a mom and a journalist from Venezuela living in Madrid, Spain. She was diagnosed with type 1 narcolepsy with cataplexy at age 27 while working in the United States. In her free time, she enjoys walking outdoors, gardening, and yoga. She also loves to travel. As a Rising Voices advocate, she's sharing her story to raise awareness about sleep disorders in Spanish-speaking countries. So it is my huge honor and joy to introduce you today. Go ahead and take it away.
Thank you very much, Julie. I'm thrilled and honored also to share my story of narcolepsy with you all. I was born in Caracas, Venezuela. On a Sunday afternoon in December. I always think it's exactly the time where everybody should be resting or sleeping. Well, that's the time I decided to come into the world. I am in the picture at the left. I'm about 2 years old in the backyard of my grandma, where my huge family gathered. I was a pretty alert and happy child. In the picture of the right, I'm with my mom, María Esther, my father, Horacio, my sister, Adriana, and my brother, Horacio also. I'm the girl in the back. And I was pretty, a girl that always loved being outdoor. I love biking. I love swimming on the beach over the weekends that we always went. We were in the Caribbean, so we were always, on the beach or in nature. And I was also a pretty good student. I love learning and going to school. By the time I was 5, I already knew how to read and write. And when I was 9, I read the whole book, The Little Women. I love that book, Louise May Alcott. And I decided I wanted to be like Jo March. I wanted to be an independent girl, and I wanted to be a writer. That's something that I thought I wanted to do when I was about 9. But a few years before that, when I was 7, I stopped sleeping like a baby. My dreams became very vivid, and I started to have recurrent nightmares that lasted over the years. In one of those nightmares, I was playing in a ship with my sister Adriana, and we were just trying to figure out where was the horizon. We wanted to see, where the sky started and the sea ended. And she suddenly fell, into the water. She started to splash and to ask for help. And I just was paralyzed watching her drown. That was such a horrible nightmare that I always, woke up and ran into her bed to see if she was breathing. Then when I was 9, or, between 9 and or 10 years old, I started to have some bothering situations when I got, emotional. When I was in a competition, like in a swimming competition, or or I wanted to run, I felt some weakness in my muscles when I needed to start. When I heard the whistle and I needed to jump into the water, I couldn't do it, or I just did it, with problems. I didn't know what was going on. I felt something in my ankles and in my knees that didn't allow me to perform properly. I also had problems when I was asked to read aloud in the classroom. I got very emotional, and I wanted to do that very well, but my tongue didn't move properly, and my jaw, there was something in my mouth that I couldn't pronounce properly what I was trying to read, and that was very embarrassing for me. Then when I was 11, I started to have horrifying, terrifying experiences. And when, a creature, like a demonic creature, came over me and attacked me. The first time I was 11, and I came, back from a swimming competition. I fell, over my bed exhausted, and I wanted to sleep. I was very tired, but the noise of the air conditioning started to get very loud and near me. It was like if the air conditioning was inside my head. It was very, very uncomfortable. I also felt like the bulb of the lamp was burning my eyes. The light was so strong, and I tried to tell my sister that was there, reading a magazine in the same bedroom. Adriana, turn off the light, turn off the air conditioning, but she wouldn't listen because I was paralyzed. I could see her. I knew I was there, and I was in my bedroom, but I couldn't move. And then that thing came, to me, and sat over me. I couldn't see him, but it was very strong and very heavy. He started to crush my fingers and squeezed, he was squeezing my arms, and it was hurtful. I asked him to stop, but he wouldn't listen. Then he started to choke me so hard that I felt I couldn't breathe. I was, getting without any air. And then he raped me. I was 9, I was 11. I was so young. I didn't know what was going on, but I felt so bad. I asked him to kill me and to go away. And in a moments. I don't know, for how long, because time it's something that you don't know how long it lasts. It disappeared. When everything ended, I felt dirty. I felt ashamed. I felt confused. And I didn't know what was going on. I thought that it was like a satanic, diabolic creature that came to me to punish me for a sin, for something wrong that I have done. And I kept it as a secret. I didn't tell anybody because I thought I was possessed or something really bad. I thought I was kind of an evil person myself. Then when I was between 14 or 15 years old, I started to get sleepy in the family trips. We were, a family that loved traveling, and we were always, around. And I fell asleep in the car. I couldn't see the scenery, and I that was something that really bothered me. I also started to fall asleep when I was watching TV, or when we went to the movies. In the picture on the right, I'm 15 years old, and with my brother Horacio and my sister Adriana, I'm the one in the pink swimming suit. And by that time, I already, felt sleepy, a lot of in the times where I was not moving. Then that situation started to get worse. It was difficult for me to keep being a good student, to keep, a good, performance at school. I had to be very organized and to start studying since day one to finish my homework, or to finish, or to get good grades. I started to feel I was not as smart as my brother and my sister that were also very good students. And I felt I was, falling, behind. Then when I was in college, I went to study journalism, and I loved my career, but it was difficult for me. I loved everything that I was very interested in everything I was listening from my professors, but somehow I felt, sleepy during the classes. Sometimes I went to, big gardens that were in my university, La Universidad Central de Venezuela, and I just fell asleep for a while over the grass, or in some places to have some energy to keep going. Then when I was 24, 25, and that I started to work as a professional journalist, things were very hard for me. It was very difficult for me to concentrate. It was very difficult for me to read and write, to be alert enough to ask smart questions. And that was very frustrating for me, because I worked so hard to be a good journalist, but I couldn't really do my job properly because of my sleepiness. The road to diagnosis was not easy. When I was at college, when I was around 20, I knew something was wrong, that everything that was happening to me was not normal. I was, well educated enough to know that something was off. So I went to the counseling department at my university and told a psychologist what was going on with me. He did a lot of tests, and he concluded that there was nothing wrong with me. That was a girl that I had a lot of activities, that I studied, I worked, I party, I had a boyfriend. So I had a lot of going on in my life, and that was I felt I felt so tired, because I also was I started to get very grumpy, And I also started to get really strong headaches. And because of that situation. Then I started to work as a journalist. In the picture in the left, my graduation day with some of my classmates, dear classmates, and in the picture in the right, I'm in the first in Economia Hoy, the first newspaper where I worked, surrounded by very bright and young journalists. And I felt I was not part of the pack. I felt that I was kind of an imposter, that I was not good enough to be there with them. But I kept doing my job. I don't know how. And I got hired at an international news agency. I moved to Miami, and there I started looking for answers, and I found in the Mayo Clinic. We were talking about 1997, a long time ago, and internet was not as popular as now that it is now. But I just found in the Mayo Clinic the Epworth sleepiness scale. I did it, and the results were very high. And it said, if you had a high score, please go to and consult your physician. You can have a sleep disorder. So I went to my primary physician and asked him to, I told him that I thought I had narcolepsy. I kind of auto-diagnosed, and I went there with my diagnosis, but he didn't really buy it. He thought, he gave me some vitamins and asked me to come, in 2 weeks. Then I told him that that it didn't work, that I felt very, very tired. And he performed a lot of tests. He sent me to a psychiatrist to exclude, depression or schizophrenia. And then finally, he sent me to a sleep disorder unit in the Mount Sinai Center in Miami. There, I got the test, and I got the diagnosis of, at that time, classic narcolepsy and sleep disorder syndrome. At the time, I felt it hurt. It hurt to hear the diagnosis. I knew I had narcolepsy, but I had hope that was something simpler. That was something that it could, that I didn't had that. But after listening to what the doctor was saying, I kind of felt relieved that I was not crazy and that I was not possessed, that I had a condition that is called narcolepsy. So narcolepsy is a chronic neurological disorder of the sleep-wake cycle. It affects 1 in 2,000 people. That's 200,000 Americans and about 3 million people worldwide. That means that in my country, in Venezuela, there are about 17,000 people in narcolepsy and about 400,000 in Latin America, about 22,000 in Spain, the country where I'm living now. The symptoms vary a lot from one person to another. There are not 2 people with narcolepsy that experience the same, the symptoms in the same way. But one of the more common is excessive daytime sleepiness. That's a period of extreme sleepiness during the day that feel comparable to how someone without narcolepsy would feel after staying awake for 24 to 72 hours. One when I was working in the news agency, I had to run into my car to fall asleep for a few moments, or had to go to the toilet to sat there and to sleep a little. That was the urge that I had, to sleep, and that was what's going on, when I couldn't, keep working because I feel so tired. The other symptom is cataplexy, that striking sudden episode of muscle weakness, usually triggered by strong emotions such as laughter, hilariation, surprise, or anger. The severity may vary from slackening of the jaw or buckling of the knees to falling down. The duration may be for a few seconds to several minutes, and the person remains fully conscious during that episode. That was what was telling you when I was in an emotional situation in my sport competitions, or when I was trying to read aloud in my classroom. I was having small cataplexy attacks that in some time, in some period of my life, have been worse, and I have fallen, to the ground with cataplexy. The other symptoms are hypnagogic and hypnopumping hallucinations, that visual, auditory, or tactile hallucinations upon falling asleep or waking up. This can be very frightening and confusing. And the sleep paralysis is the inability to move for a few seconds or minutes upon falling asleep or waking up. It is often accompanied by hypnagogic or hypnopumping hallucinations. And it is important to note that people without narcolepsy can experience these hallucinations and sleep paralysis. In fact, about 1/3 of all people experience this at some point of their lives, usually during periods of high stress or poor sleep. For people with narcolepsy, these are much more frequent and consistent over time. Well, that was happening to me when I had those visitations, that entity, that diabolic creature that I thought was coming over to me were hallucinations accompanied with a sleep paralysis. Very frightening indeed. And they keep happening during the years, but with time, the awful visitations stopped, and I could have hallucinations, happy or nice hallucinations, where you fly or you have nice experiences. So and what I'm trying to say that it is not always bad or terrifying. Then the disrupted nighttime sleep. That's very interesting, because unlike public perception, people with narcolepsy do not sleep all the time. We're not like sleeping beauties, sleeping quietly all the time. Our timing of sleeping is off. And so one might fight sleepiness during the day, but struggle to sleep at night. That is one of the symptoms that is bothering me still. That's my worst symptom right now. It is very difficult. I fall asleep very fast when I go to bed, but I wake up as fast. So I'm the whole night waking up, and so I cannot sleep well, and then I wake up tired. And automatic behavior is something that it doesn't, happen to everybody or all, the people that have narcolepsy, but it happens, to me. And it's the continuation of a routine activity with little conscious awareness or often without any memory of it. Sometimes I'm washing the dishes and I spend there minutes without realizing that I'm wasting water. And because I don't know, I just keep doing, that movement, and I just don't know what I'm I feel I don't feel I stop of getting track of the time. Sometimes I also, when I drive from one place to another, I don't know how I got to my destination. I don't remember the route at all. And that could be very, very confusing. And there are two types of narcolepsy. There is narcolepsy with cataplexy and narcolepsy without cataplexy. Recent research suggests that narcolepsy with cataplexy is caused by a lack of hypocretin. It is also called orexin in Spanish. And it's a key neurotransmitter that helps sustain alertness and regulate the sleep-wake cycle. Less is known about narcolepsy without narcolepsy. So as I told you, my diagnosis is narcolepsy with cataplexy, and that it's type 1 narcolepsy. The diagnosis typically includes a 40-hour sleep study that includes a nighttime portion, that is the polysomnography, and a daytime nap portion, that is the multiple sleep latency test. And that's the scientists are trying to record one's brain, and diagnosis is mainly based on how quickly and frequently one goes into rapid eye movement, the REM dream sleep stage during this test. In the picture, I mean, in one of the most recent tests, that made me in Madrid, and it doesn't hurt. Those are the sensors in the head. The treatment. There's current no cure for narcolepsy, and the treatment for symptoms management vary widely by person. Is very, it's also the same like with the symptoms. Not two people with narcolepsy normally don't have the same treatment. The treatment include wake promoting, histamine directed or stimulants medications to increase alertness in the daytime, nighttime medication to increase sleepiness and for daytime sleepiness and cataplexy, antidepressants for cataplexy, and schedule daytime naps. And coping, there's also coping strategies like social support, such as meetup groups or social media, and improvements in general health through sleep hygiene, diet, and fitness. I'm one of the people that, for some reason, the treatments available in 1997 when I was diagnosed at 27, it didn't work for me at all. I have tried, most of all of the treatments without much success. But I believe in science, and last year I participated in a sleep trial for, because there are some group of scientists that are trying to develop new treatments and better treatments. So I hope those could be available, for all of us in the future. And I also find very helpful for me to take naps. They're very helpful for me because when I take naps, I rest like in the middle of the day, and I'm able to function pretty well in the last, hours of the day. If I don't take naps, I'm so groggy and I'm so, sleepy that I'm very grumpy and I have no memory. I have no recollection of what, my kids are telling me if at 9 or 10 p.m. It's 9 something p.m. now in Madrid. So I'm kind of not sharp, but I took my nap and I'm quite okay. I also have a support group that I meet once a week on Mondays, and it's a fabulous, amazing group of 10 women with narcolepsy. We gather through online, because we all live in different parts of Spain and Great Britain, and we share our sorrows. We laugh a lot about the awkward situations that keep happening to us when we fall asleep on the bus, or when we are trying to say something and we just mess up because we were so because of the lack of concentration and so on. So it's great. It has been great for me. I also have found a very helpful psychotherapy. I have to tell that I know that narcolepsy is not a psychiatric condition, but a neurological one. But psychotherapy has been very useful for me for a lot of things, like to learn how to arrange better my schedule and to take advantage of my time, to not have huge goals that I cannot reach. I really wanted to climb the Everest, but I know I can have a lot of other goals and I can have a very nice life without going to the Everest. So psychotherapy has been very, very important for me. And like with everybody, eating well, doing exercise, and having a good sleep hygiene is good for everybody, and it has been great for me because I can manage my symptoms much better. If I eat sweets or very heavy meals, I feel very sleepy. So I just try not to do it. Well, my life with narcolepsy. It's never easy living, with narcolepsy. When I was diagnosed, I thought I had solved the puzzle of my life. I thought, okay, I'm going to take this medication and everything is going to be all right. But it didn't happen that way. After diagnosis, I really took, my condition deteriorated, and I was in a very, very bad shape. Everything I worked so hard to get, disappeared. I got married, very young with one of my college sweetheart. I had a great job. I have bought a house. I had 3 dogs and a cat, and I lost it all because of my swing moods and my grumpiness and my inability to have social interaction because of the worsening of my symptoms. The day I decided to stop being a journalist was a very painful day. That I was sent to Europe to do a coverage of the Cuban dictator Fidel Castro. He was 80-something years old, and he was very old, and it was a very unique opportunity to interview and to see that person that almost never, went out of Cuba. and I waste the opportunity. I couldn't do it. He was all the time, visiting places, talking, for hours, and I was lost. I couldn't understand. I couldn't understood what he was saying in Spanish. I couldn't write later in the day what the news, the feature news that the agency was waiting. So I thought, okay, I have to stop, because I cannot do my job properly anymore. So I resigned. I got divorced. I went back to my parents' house in Venezuela, and I stayed there for several years, sleeping, hallucinating, falling to the ground just with the sunlight, with cataplexy attacks. But the healthy part of me, and the healthy part that everybody has inside, told me not to stop, asking me, for looking for answers. So I decided to go back to school, and I became a massage therapist, because I thought, if I cannot read and write and think, I can have empathy. I know how it feels to be sick and to be hurt. And I can move my hands. So I think I can be good at it. And I was pretty good. I had a small business that became pretty not famous, but it was a business that was very good. I had a lot of clients, so I regained economic independence, and it was great, for me. I also fell in love again, and we decided, my husband Alejandro and me decided to form a family. In the picture in the left, I'm with my daughter Claudia. Today, if I gave birth to her when I was 38 years old. And being a mom gave me the strength to go back to journalism again. I thought that I had to give myself another chance, and to show my girls that you have to keep, fighting for your dreams. So I went back to journalism without medication, just handling my symptoms with a good, taking good care of myself. In the picture in the right, I'm with a young girl in El Salvador, in a rural school. It was an assignment, and I have traveled a lot being a journalist. I promised myself not to be afraid to fall asleep or to collapse with a cataplexy attack while working. It can also happen, but that has not stopped me to keep working as a journalist and being abroad and away from home. That gives me that I have to talk to the future now. My future, I see it as bright as my present. I want to keep writing. In the picture in the left, it appears one of my writing in a book published by the Venezuelan Association of Journalists in Spain. And in the picture in the right, I'm with my family, with my husband, loving husband Alejandro, and my three girls, Claudia, Katy, and Sofia. That's the day we were celebrating this summer the 5 years that we have been living in Spain. So what I want to do apart from writing is to see my girls, to keep accompanying my girls to become wonderful women. That's what I want to do. I also want to see in my lifetime amazing medical discoveries and the cure for a lot of diseases, including, narcolepsy. And raising awareness is one of those goals that I want to keep doing in the future, and that I'm doing right now, because unfortunately, a person with a narcolepsy have to wait between 8 to 15 years between the symptoms onset and the diagnosis, and over 50% of the people with narcolepsy are currently undiagnosed or misdiagnosed. In my country, Venezuela, there are no public hospitals with the equipment necessary to the diagnosis, and there is no also people with narcolepsy don't have access to any treatment. That's something that is happening now in my country. That's why I feel lucky to be able to have been diagnosed, to have been the resources to be treated, and that's why I have to speak. I think it is my duty to sleep to you all. In the picture, in the bottom, at the left, I'm talking to Miriam Raquel Gonzalez. She's a journalist and also a physician, a doctor. And we were, talking about narcolepsy. And in the picture, in the right, I'm talking. It was a Instagram live, and I was talking to a doctor, a physician as well, and a writer, a fiction writer. He's Juan Manuel Morales Chavez, and we were talking about narcolepsy and literature. We were talking about how do I read and how I, fall asleep while reading, and I keep, dreaming about the book, and also about the process of writing as a person with narcolepsy. And that's it. That's my story. I'm sharing my story today as part of Raising Voices, a program of the nonprofit organization Project Sleep, which empowers patient advocates to share their story and improve public understanding of narcolepsy and other sleep disorders. And I thank you very much for listening to me.
Yay! Great job, Mariángela. Wonderful job. Lots of great comments. And thank you everyone for tuning in to hear this incredible story. You've lived with narcolepsy a lot longer than probably most of us. I think, how many
Yes.
years now do you think?
Well, the symptoms started at 7, and I'm 52 right now. So 40 something years
wow.
with narcolepsy.
Wow. I also have a theory, a personal theory, that people with narcolepsy look pretty young. And I say that for you too. My goodness.
Thank you.
Yeah. I don't know, something about all that extra REM sleep, maybe.
I don't know, but it could be.
Yeah. Personal theory. I'm going to go with it. Well, that was just terrific. I think there's just so many elements of your story. And guys, if you have any questions, please send them into the Facebook chat. I'll just start with a few of my questions for you. Having experienced narcolepsy both in Venezuela, in the US, and in Spain, are there differences? I know there's obvious medical differences as far as like access to treatment and even diagnosis. Do you notice differences in people's perception of narcolepsy? Like have they heard, just like general public, are people in Venezuela familiar with that term? And Spain, are they familiar?
No, I think there is a complete different situation in the Anglo speaking world and in Spanish speaking world. Even in Spain, that we are in Europe, there are a lot of medical advances. Even hypocrisy was discovered simultaneously in the States and in Spain. A doctor discovered it was called orexina. So the medical advances are great here, but people, culturally people are kind of ashamed or afraid to speak because of repercussion at work, that people are not going to hire you if you say you have narcolepsy. And in Venezuela, people don't talk about narcolepsy at all. You could be a sleepyhead, as a lazy person. Even there is not diagnosis. So even though there is a movement between the scientific community to raise awareness and to keep working, even without any resources, but there are huge differences. Like in the States, now you have Project Sleep that is great and has helping me like to be here with you, sharing my story in Spanish and in English. But when I got diagnosed, I found the Mayo Clinic website. They already had the Epworth Sleepiness Scale test. I'm talking about 1997. Right now, if you Google narcolepsy or in Spanish or you have some information. There is some information, but it's not as good, as accurate as it is in English. So there are huge cultural differences. There is also, even though we we kind of are famous because Latin culture could be just like very laid down and sometimes lazy. We're supposed to be partying, and we're supposed to be all the time like very sharp, and it's not well received when you say you cannot go because you feel tired or sleepy. People don't understand. Even the word narcolepsia in Spanish, it gets very bad connotations, and people get confused, like I have some drug problem. It's the term in Spanish get confused with narcotics. Mm-hmm. So it's hard. We still have a long a way to go in the Spanish speaking communities about raising up awareness with narcolepsy.
Yeah, that's so important to hear, because I guess having been from the United States, I would say that we have a long way to go here too, but that maybe we're doing, we're getting further along, at least here. Yes. Yeah, so that's really interesting. And especially the term, with narcotics and narco, there's another, I think it's necrophilia or so. There's something where people like to sleep with dead bodies or something. Every once in a while you hear that. You're like, no, like, it's not that.
What? Yeah. And it's and sometimes I try to explain to people. When I try to explain to people, there's some that are willing to listen, and there are some others that really don't really care. And so I just say it. And I said, no, right now, please, can you say it slowly, or can you say it to me tomorrow? Because right now I'm sleepy and I won't remember tomorrow. And people sometimes they think I'm joking. Mm. But the good thing is that when you keep telling people, and your friends, your personal friends, your family know about it, life get much easier. It's harder in the work environments. Back in 1997, I got some I stopped working for some months, and it was considered back then a disability. I mean, a condition that could cause disability. But it was not well understood back then. But right now, it's very hard for some of my friends to fight for the rights in the workplace. I have personal friends that have been bullied. I mean, they get bothered by people because they just think they're being lazy, or they want special treatment because of that sleepiness thing. They really doubt you because you don't look sick. It's an invisible condition.
Right. We have a question here from Taylor. Thank you, Taylor, for asking this. As a mom, when did you start talking to your kids about narcolepsy?
Since they start talking. I mean, when they start understanding, before, when they were babies, and I was breastfeeding, and I just fall asleep with my baby. I just said, okay, Claudia or Sophie, I'm going to sleep with you now because mommy feels sleepy as well. So I always have, I have been open with my family and with my girls that mommy cannot do it right now. Why? Because I have a condition, because mommy, before I said is sick, now I don't say it anymore because I just don't think myself as somebody with a sickness. But I had to explain it in a simple way to my girls. Like, mommy doesn't, I'm not feeling well right now. Mommy is sleepy. And they understood, and they grew up understanding me. And right now they are the ones that, they tell me, Mom, your eyes are getting very small. So I think it's time for you to take a nap, because you're not listening to me. You're nodding, but you are not listening. You're not understanding. And they laugh, and we joke, with that, because we try to take it, with humor, because it is hard. And because I also get very, sometimes I lose my temper very often when I'm sleepy. I'm raising. I have 3 teenagers at home. Imagine the noise. So they are very good. They keep quiet. I mean, they are not noisy. They were noisy when they were little, but now they are very nice to me. And I also try very hard myself not to stop doing things or not to be absent so much because I'm sleepy. I try to be present, and I try to go to the sport matches, and try to take them to the parties, or to the, it has been very hard. And my husband had been very important, because he is the one that has been there when I'm sleepy. He's the one that take the girls, outside, or take over the situation. And it's very important to ask for help of a partner, of your family, friends. Hire somebody to do things that you cannot do, because it is living with narcolepsy and working full-time, having a family, and having hobbies. It is too much without help. And life is too much without, and it would be too, boring to be, all the time sleeping, or all the time by yourself. I think that social interaction, contact, it's good, even though it is, I have to take it slowly, because when I am surrounded by people, I get tired, and I have to rest after. People don't understand that. Mm-hmm. It is very difficult for me, like, to go to a trip several days with, a lot of people, because the day 3, I started to go to a bedroom and to try to to rest, not because I'm sleepy, but because I need to pay a lot of attention to understand. My concentration is not good. When I was talking in the presentation at the end, I didn't know how to read. I mean, I was getting lost because I lose the kind of the ability to process information.
Yeah, well, we're so thankful for you for doing this so late at night in English. I guess I was just curious too if you've had your career kind of change over time. And do you have any advice for people on trying to find what will work for them best in a career?
I think the first thing, and that's why we are doing this, is to get diagnosed at college or during high school, or very in a few years after the symptoms. Why? Because you know what you have and you can manage. You can first you can have career choices. I don't know if I would have chosen journalism. Maybe I would, but because it is a passion, and it is important for people with narcolepsy to be to have inspiration in life, to have a motive, to have a reason to wake up. And that's something you have to keep. It is very important also in your job, in your career. If you love what you're doing, you already have won a fight against sleep. That's the first thing. Then you have to be organized, and you have to be sincere with yourself and with your coworkers. You have to know what you can do and things that you can do, but with more time. I think I'm able to do anything. I've never think like I cannot do this. Well, there's things that I just don't want to. And that's okay. But I've never thought, and even now, even sometimes when I feel like I have like an obstacle, I just try to. You don't have to jump. You can go around. You can go through a tunnel. I mean, there are different ways to overcome the situation. So in a career-wise, I think you have to love what you do. You have to be organized. You have to tell your coworkers, and also if in your country there are legislations that can have you accommodate you in some way, you have to take advantage of that, because sometimes, because we look perfectly normal, we think we don't have a cognitive disability. We are very, I mean, we have to do twice or sometimes much more work, or to put a lot of effort to the same tasks. So if there are legislations, I advise everybody to take them and to fight for them. Because me, I think I'm pretty functional, but some of my friends in my support groups are not. And we have to fight for the rights of we all, because now I'm functional. But when I was 30, I was not. And I couldn't do anything. I couldn't even, wake up and walk, to the bathroom without, falling asleep, because the condition, narcolepsy, can, have, better. You can have better moments. I think that even though it's a neurological condition, because cataplexy has got a lot to do with emotions. Also, the hallucinations and even the nightmares has a lot to do with emotions. If you have in the moments that you have a quiet life an organized life, a fulfilled, a life that is fulfilled, it's good, for you, things start to get better. But when you start working, that you have you have goals, you have to meet, we have to fight in the same working environment, and there are a lot of pressures, and we try to do our best, but that pressure can worsen our symptoms. So we have to take care, we have to think that our health is first. Without health, we cannot do our job either. So we have to keep always looking inside, always. That's what I tell, my friends, like, oh, how do you do it? Well, I do it because I want to do it. I do it because I have the motivation, but sometimes I have to stop, and I have to to remind myself, Mariángela, don't get too excited, because then you get tired, and then it is very frustrated when you say, yes, I can do this, and then you cannot do it because you're so tired that you cannot, or you can do it, but you cannot perform well. So I think honesty is the key.
I love that. I think that's such an important message, looking inward, prioritizing our health, being honest with ourselves. Those are such beautiful, important messages. So thank you so much for sharing your story today in English. We're so happy and grateful. You are just an amazing person and a wealth of experience and energy. So we're just so grateful for this, and know that you will continue to be raising awareness and
yes,
rights. So.
Yes, I was invited on the World Narcolepsy Day for the I don't know how to say it in English, the sleep medicine National Academy in Venezuela or something like that. It's like the group of doctors that are, that study sleep medicine, and they asked me to share my story with them. The World Narcolepsy Day. And it is an honor, and I'm so glad. And everything is because of your effort, Julie. When you start doing things, the energy, keeps, flowing, and people start talking, and they wanted to talk, to reach to you. And when I was preparing the presentation, to know the figures in Venezuela and to know the situation in Venezuela, I talked, I contact them, and they said, yes, oh, you're doing this with, you're raising awareness. Can you talk to us? So it was very easy, that first contact of me as somebody raising awareness with, about narcolepsy.
Well, it's awesome. I'm so sick of hearing my own story, so I just love everyone else's amazing stories. It's just so important because everyone has such great stories. So we're just so excited to continue to cheer you on. You have to share how that event goes. That's going to be really, really important. Really, really important.
Yes.
Could be life changing.
Yes, because in Latin America, not just in Venezuela, we are just, as we call it, we say it in Spanish, in diapers. I mean, we're just in the beginnings. In the beginning, that's a Spanish expression. We're beginning to talk about narcolepsy and sleep disorders. It's just like very few people know about it. Very few people are diagnosed, and we're talking about a huge population. And also in Spanish, it's the second language spoken in the world after Chinese, and there's so little in Spanish published about narcolepsy. So we have a long way to go, and I'm willing to, and I'm writing a book. When I started writing a book 15 years ago, or maybe 16, before getting pregnant. And because of, maybe I was not prepared to tell my story. I thought about insurance issues, like who is going to give me a health insurance if I say aloud that I have narcolepsy? Who is going to hire me? So that book has been there in a drawer for 15 years. When I saw you publish your book and it was such a success, I thought like, yes, she did it. Mariángela, you have to do it in Spanish as well. And but now, I mean, since last year, I started just like to take it seriously. And I am working with an editor to have a quality, because I know how to write, but to publish a book, it's something else. You need a lot of other eyes, you know, checking and giving you feedback and because for me, everything, I don't know life without narcolepsy. So I forget to explain things because for me, it's so natural. It's you know, sometimes I forget that's not how it's supposed to be. So the editor is helping me a lot to explaining better certain issues, and to also not to bother people with things that are like a personal diary that not necessarily that are not necessary for telling my narcolepsy story. So maybe at the end of the year is going to be, you know, out, and I will tell you.
Yes, of
I will
course.
tell you all.
Of course, we can't wait to continue sharing all of your great efforts and success. So thank you for all that you're doing and for being part of Rising Voices. It's so, so special. So.
Oh, thank you very much for inviting me. Really, I feel honored when Lauren told me. I was like, oh, thank you. I felt nervous, but I felt I could do it.
Yes, awesome job. And thank you everyone for tuning in today. We'll be back on Sunday with a story from Bulgaria, from Adi's story as a parent of a person with narcolepsy. So,
Great.
All right. Have a good rest of the night. Sleep well as best you can.
Thank you.
And we'll see you again soon. Bye.
Yes. Bye-bye. Thank you.